I have two sets of clientele, 5,000 approximately of the general public, and about 5,000 financial advisors as clients. In this video episode, I'm going to disclose secret number 4 in this series of Doug Andrews Secrets about how I actually service two different sets of clients and how that has dramatically increased my income, my enjoyment, my satisfaction, and what I'm able to do to change the world to be a better place, because I want to turn this world right side up. And I'll show you how you can too. So, if you don't know, I'm Doug Andrews, and I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for nearly 5 decades, helping many people optimize assets, minimize taxes, empower their authentic wealth, prepare for long-term goals such as a comfortable retirement so that they will not outlive their money. And so for years, I've been able to help people by writing books. I've been blessed to have authored 12 books thus far, and I'll keep writing books the rest of my life. I have this YouTube channel with about 1,000 educational videos as of the recording of this episode. I also have a national radio show that's been going now for about 14 years. Why do I do this? I'm 70 years old. I will never stop doing what I'm doing. I hope someday I die on stage speaking and teaching, because I love to see light bulbs turn on. So I decided to create this little series disclosing Doug Andrews Secrets, okay? So here we go. This is secret number 4 in this series. And I'm going to share with you how I have 2 sets of clientele and how that all came about. I mentioned at the opening that I have about 5,000 clients that I have helped directly, indirectly through our firm of the general public to be able to help them with their personal finances, prepare for retirement, what have you. But I have about another 5,000 clients that I have had through the years, which are actually financial advisors. Now, I have an episode that talked about why I started teaching financial advisors, just to sort of review that. Years ago, when I began to belong to a mastermind group called Strategic Coach, headed by Dan Sullivan, who has coached over 6,000 of the world's top entrepreneurs. When he got familiar with what I was doing, he said, Doug, out of all of the 5,000 entrepreneurs that I've coached so far, you're in the top 12 as what I would refer to as an industry transformer. And he said, you have been so preoccupied selling the cake, so to speak, to your own clients. He said, I would suggest you also sell your recipe. Make your competitors your customers. And at first I said, say what? You mean take my proprietary secrets and share them with my competitors? Yes. You can only reach so many people. So have an abundant-minded approach to sharing your recipe, and other advisors, some will pay you for your wisdom, and they'll pay thousands of dollars for that. I remember coming home and telling my daughter, who was my number one assistant at the time, hey, you know what? I'm gonna start selling all of our marketing secrets and our systems to other financial advisors. And she went, are you crazy? I go, no, I'm gonna charge $3,000 for a 1 day. Well, it ended up shortly turning into 2 days and then 3 days, and the price went up to $6,000. And the first time I did that, I only had 3 advisors come through. But within 90 days, I was filling up a room every 2 weeks with about 72 up to 100 financial advisors paying $6,000 to come through and learn my recipe. And I did that from 2003 to 2007. I had over 3,000 advisors, CPAs, tax attorneys, financial planners, realtors, attorneys, come through and pay $6,000. And they said it was the best education. They said they learned more In that 3 days, then they learned getting their MBA. And they were very sincere. Some of them said they learned more in the first 4 hours than they did getting their MBA. Because I was sharing with them the sum total of what I have invested over $3 million in my life to learn sharpening my saw, as Stephen Covey would say. And that's actually secret number 3 that I reveal in this series is what did I invest $3 million on? Sharpening my saw, okay? And so this is what I started to do in 2003. Now, when you look at it, for the first 6-7 years as a financial advisor from 1974 to 1980, I licensed and trained over 1,000 agents, and I also became responsible for over 3,000 clients in 13 Western states. Then I decided to just go into personal practice with my own clients, and I did that from 1990 to 2002, and I was in the top 500 financial advisors in the world. It's called the top of the table in the insurance industry, but it was also with investments and what have you. And so there were times where I was trying to teach advisors, and sometimes I was frustrated. It was like herding cats sometimes to find advisors who would put skin in the game, that were self-motivated, that had batteries included, was only 10 to 20% would do that. It's called the 80-20 rule in any type of an industry, where only the top 20% actually make a career out of it and are successful. The other 80%, they don't last, or they're doing it part-time or whatever. And so it was frustrating. But what I wanted to do is to take those top 20% who would put skin in the game. They would contribute, $6,000 or pay a monthly subscription to learn my recipe, to learn my wisdom, to implement in a fast power curve instead of a long learning curve that it took me to avoid the mistakes that I made. Because my 2 sons, they came in and it didn't take them near as long because they learned by osmosis by watching me, and they didn't have to go through the long learning curve making all the same mistakes that I made. And that's really the purpose. And so when Dan Sullivan said, Doug, you've got to make your competitors your customers, it took me 5 years to finally do that. And I still now am responsible for educating and helping the general public learn through this YouTube channel, through radio, through public speaking, through my books. And people read, watch, listen, and learn. And then they end up wanting something they didn't know they wanted until they got educated. And once they get educated, they know more than 99.9% of financial advisors out there. So then they want to know, well, Doug, what advisors out there really understand how to implement this correctly? Because I don't want an advisor that doesn't get it. And so now I'm a valuable asset, not only for the general public, but the general public wants me to point them as a student to an advisor who has the licenses to help them implement, because I gave up all my licenses the last business day of 2005 to become a consumer advocate, but also to point them to advisors who understand, because they passed a proficiency exam, which is not an easy exam. It's about 150 questions. That most advisors that you see on TV and hear on the radio, they would they'd flunk it. They would even score 30% on this exam, because it's not the same old financial advice that you get when you get your certified financial planning. Oh, put money in the market. The market always comes back. Just hang in there, put it in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k. You'll likely be in a lower bracket, blah, blah, blah. That is not true. Most people who are savers are not in lower tax brackets when they retire. And so I want you to also view secret number 5, and that reveals some of my success. But going back to this one, what has ended up happening is now with the original 3,000 clients and then adding a couple of thousand more, it's probably way north of 5,000. But I have helped 5,000 clients with the firm, for example, that my 2 sons are advisors, licensed advisors, be able to find the right fit people and help the general public. So I still love going out and speaking to the general public. And they learn, and then they end up wanting something they didn't know they wanted. Most of them want to implement a strategy to accumulate, access, and transfer their money tax-free with what I call the laser fund. And I'm a co-author with my two sons of this book. I'll show you how to get a free copy of this here in just a moment. So stay with me. But simultaneously, now, instead of a 3-day one-off course for advisors, we have an organization called IUL Insiders. IUL stands for Indexed Universal Life. And this is where professionals subscribe, and on a monthly basis, they attend weekly mastermind calls where I teach for a couple of hours usually and do Q&A. My sons come on and show them how to design cases. They have access to our marketing templates and all the predictability that we've created. They get mentored by our marketing vice president, Bud Heaton. And now we have hundreds and soon to be thousands of financial advisors who are subscribing to learn our recipe. So we have influenced over 5,000 advisors. Now, frankly, my publishers have told me that in their estimate was over 50,000 financial advisors were buying my books in bulk on Amazon. Some of them were loose cannons, and so that's why we wanted to create an organization and a proficiency exam. And so there's only about maybe 5,000 advisors who really know what they're doing. There's a lot more advisors than that use my books, but then they don't know what they're doing all the time. And so that's the purpose of helping the advisors do it correctly so I can point my students to the advisors who get it. What is the secret? It is called DOS. Now, DOS is a term that I learned from Dan Sullivan. DOS is D-O-S. The D stands for dangers. So what I do for the general public is I help the general public eliminate the greatest dangers that cause most people, let's say, to outlive their money in retirement, okay? What are those dangers? Taxes, inflation, market volatility. Those are the three big dangers. So you eliminate those dangers by converting to tax-free, by linking your returns to the things that inflate. So inflation doesn't hurt you, it helps you. And by eliminating the downside risk when the market goes down and participate when it goes up by using a strategy called indexing. I'm not talking about indexed mutual funds. That is only accomplished through a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance policy structured correctly and funded properly. If it is, it will qualify to be called what I call a laser fund. I like the laser fund because the three greatest strengths, D-O-S, S is strengths, liquidity, the ability to access your money when you need it, okay, safety, so that you don't lose your principal. In any year you make money, that becomes newly protected principal, and earning predictable rates of return. That spells laser, liquid asset safely earning returns. Those are the three greatest strengths. That's an example of DOS for the general public with their money. Now, I do double DOS. So since I have a second set of customers, 5,000 advisors, I solve their DOS. The advisors pay me for my wisdom. They pay for my recipe. What are their biggest dangers? It's usually, well, I know what to say to a person when they're in front of me. I just can't find people. Okay, that's a danger. You don't know how to prospect. You don't know how to find people. I've never had that problem. I have way more people than I can possibly handle. And so I solve the dangers for financial advisors, that they're going to be commoditized, or that they can't find people, or they don't set themselves apart, and that they can find the right fit client and help them correctly, okay? I help them seize the greatest opportunities to be able to use the systems, my YouTube channel, my education, and my books, to be able to find and filter the right fit clients. And then the greatest strengths are to be able to take from my wisdom and my education and be able to leverage off of that, and then be able to use my systems, my marketing templates and so forth to be able to find and help more people, because then we can help more people in America than I can reach just by myself with a little nucleus of financial advisors in the firm that my sons work for. Does that make sense? So when I focus on double DOS, I'm solving dangers, opportunities, and strengths for the general public, And simultaneously, I'm solving the dangers, opportunities, and strengths for financial advisors. That's called a double DOS. And the advisors are using the DOS that I'm doing for the general public for their clients. But I'm solving the DOS for them. And guess what? I have two revenue sources because the world loves usefulness. They'll pay me for this wisdom. Advisors pay me for that wisdom. The general public compensates me for that wisdom on how to optimize their assets and minimize taxes and not outlive their money. Does that make sense? If this is intriguing you, I would recommend maybe you study my book called The 10 Keys Transformation. You simply go to free, the number 10, free 10 keys book, okay, .com, and you can claim your free copy of that. You contribute a nominal amount toward the processing of that. It's a digital book. It's in full color, and there's a scorecard in there. Or if you want to get a copy of this book, The Laser Fund, go to laserfund.com or click on the link below and contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling to get this 300-page book. And I'll pay for the book, fire out a hard copy to you. There's options in there if you like to listen, learn, watch and learn. Check out the webinars that we teach on a regular basis. And you can even talk to a top advisor that I have approved, that I oversee, to see how it's implemented correctly. But that is the double DOS. That is my two sets of clientele. If you're not connecting dots, if you're an orthodontist, if you're a chiropractor, if you are a personal trainer, you may want to consider having a second set of customers besides just your clients. It's other orthodontists, other chiropractors, okay, other professional personal trainers. They will pay you for your wisdom. And if you get that, watch your income go through the roof as you solve DOS for two sets of customers.